So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Kaduki back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Wednesday, June 30th. Hopefully everybody's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Wednesday, June 30th here today, coming off of another big night in sports and a big night in baseball and a lot going on in baseball. And the New York Yankees actually hang on to victories. They get the 11-5 win yesterday against the Los Angeles Angels, and obviously, a big win for the Yankees, get back on track, still not where we want to be, but it's a win nonetheless. And I said this last night, somebody, winning's fun, it's fun, and it might sound stupid what I'm saying, but I mean, it's just you watch sports, you play sports to win. It's terrible, it's frustrating when you lose and you're not getting results, and especially as a fan when you sit there and watch, when you're sitting there and watching the games and stuff like that, and they're not getting the job done, and it's just night in, night out. And when the Yankees were on a 4-game losing streak and, 2 games away from being at the 500 mark, 3 games away from being below 500, and you're like this team is capable of a lot more than just this. And last night the Yankees got back on track. So yes, are the Yankees still where we want them to be? No, they're still only 3 games above 500, but it's a win. It's something to be happy about. And now we go into a game today against Shohei Ohtani, who is just something special. He is just something else. He is special. He's just not human. Let's just put it at that. And I mean that in a positive way. I mean, he just does things that not many players out there can do, and not many in history could even do. I mean, the best of the best could not pitch as good as he did and could not hit as good as he can. And that's just, how it is. He's had 3 home runs in the 2 games so far. And, 2 yesterday. He used the short porch in right field to his advantage. That should have been an eye-opener to the Yankees. The Yankees could use a left-handed bat. It just goes to show you that the Yankees need more lefties in their lineup. Take advantage of that short right field porch, and that's the truth. I mean, he had that one line drive home run that barely even cleared the wall in another stadium. That's either a line out or that's off the wall. That's not a home run. So, but at the end of the day, it's a home run. A home run's a home run. I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm just saying that just goes to show you how good of a ball player he is. He's utilizing that short porch in right field, and he's exposing the Yankees, because it just goes to show you that the Yankees need to go out and they need to get a left-handed batter. They need to have a true left-handed bat, whether that's going out and trading for one, or whether that's going out and signing one. The Yankees need to have a true left-handed bat in their lineup to take advantage of that short right field porch. So the Yankees got the win yesterday, 11-5. Obviously, a good win. We played today as well. The Mets also got a win yesterday. It was a close one, but they got the win 4-3, and they will move. They got back on track yesterday with a win, so they will play today against the Braves. That's a second game of their 3-game set, and the Yankees will play their 3rd game of a 4-game set today against the Angels. Crazy how quick sets go. Today's already a 3rd game, a 4-game set. Then tomorrow's going to be the travel day, so they'll play at a 1 o'clock game. It's just crazy how quick these games go. It really is. These series. On Monday, we were all looking at this, all right, now we got a 4-game set, and all of a sudden, boom, just like that, we're in the 3rd game of the 4-game set. And it just flies by. And obviously, after this, then we head into the weekend, which is big. Then you get into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4th of July weekend. It's already big with 4th of July weekend. Then you get into, all those festivities. And you got Yankees, Mets, Sunday Night Baseball. It's going to be exciting coming up this weekend. I don't care how good the Yankees or Mets are. Whenever those two teams face, same thing with the Red Sox and the Yankees, it's always a fun matchup. So Yankees and Mets play today. Lightning, Canadians will play Game 2 today. Bucks, Hawks won last night. And the Clippers, Suns will play Game 6 tonight in LA. If Clippers won that, they'll force a Game 7 back in Phoenix. And that would be fun. I think it's going to be hard for the Clippers to win, but I think it would be very entertaining if the Clippers win tonight and they force a Game 7 in Phoenix. I mean, not much more, you can't get more hype than that. Game 7, Phoenix, Devin Booker, Paul George, does Kawhi maybe come back that game? Although Paul George has done a very good job in his performances lately. He's had a great playoff series. He's played more minutes than anyone in the playoffs so far. I mean, he's just been dominant. And obviously, Giannis yesterday hyperextended his knee, so he left Game 4. We'll see if he'll be back in time for Game 5, but the Hawks got a much-needed victory, so they'll now head back to Milwaukee to play Game 5, and they have a guaranteed back in Game 6. So you win again in Milwaukee, you have a golden opportunity to take Game 6 and win the series. And if you don't win in Milwaukee, then you head back home. That's how big winning Game 4 was last night for the Hawks. Because even if you don't win Game 5, you go back home where the Hawks are a very good home team. It showed last night. And you could win there, then you force a Game 7. But I'm looking a little ahead there. We still got to see how the other games play out. But with all that being said, Adam Fox is also a Norris Trophy winner. But I'm going to get to that in a little bit here. But with all that being said, let's get into the topics for today. A big hockey day. So much sports going on. It's not overwhelming. It's overwhelming in a good way. It's overwhelming in a good way. This time last year, there wasn't much going on. Actually, I should kind of take that back because this time last year, baseball was starting to start up. Hockey and basketball were starting to start their bubbles and stuff. So this time last year, it started to get a little bit more active with sports. But, April and May of last year and March were really boring in the beginning of the June. But this time last year in July and stuff, throughout the summer, that's when the bubble starting up. The MLB weird 60-game season started. But obviously, now that we're back to normal with the 162 and, the NBAs and their playoffs and stuff like that, and next season will be all normal for those teams with all that stuff, that's good. But there's so much to talk about. So sorry if I'm missing some big topics out there. I know I can't guarantee that I'm going to get to every topic because I only talk about 2 main topics every day. Multiply that by days of the week, 10 main topics. There's about 15, 20 really good topics I could talk about out there. And that's why Jets signed Morgan Moses. I talked about that yesterday, even though it happened on Friday. So much to get to. But today, I wanted to get into the Sabres hiring Don Granato. The Sabres have officially hired their new head coach, their new man for the job, obviously after a terrible year last year with them having to fire Ralph Kruger. They've officially made the announcement they'll hire Don Granato. I don't even know if you want to call this more of a hiring other than this is more of a promotion because Don Granato was the interim coach after they fired Ralph Kruger in the middle of the year last year. Don Granato took over, and he actually did a relatively good job. He took over a team that was, really struggling, took over a team that was not very good, and he actually made them relatively competitive. He got them to win some hockey games, and were they the most successful teams when he took over? No, but, the young guys showed a lot of, respect for him. He showed a lot of, liking a lot of the young guys on the team, and, he showed, a lot of kind of promise of maybe building actually a solid foundation for the rebuild, and they've hired him, and they give him a 3-year contract, so I'll get into that. Like I said, it's a hiring, but it's also kind of a promotion because he was the interim coach, so they're just promoting him to the head coach, but either way, it's the same thing. Then we'll get into the NHL awards. Big hockey day today. Tomorrow, I figured it's a big basketball day. I'll probably get to a lot of basketball stuff. I want to get to Damian Lillard and Ben Simmons stuff tomorrow or later on in the week. So today I wanted to get to hockey. NHL awards. Adam Fox won the Norris. Kirill Kaprizov won the Calder. Let's see, Hart Trophy, and the other, McDavid won 2 trophies, also won the MVP, and then the Venezia Trophy, which was for best goaltender, was rewarded to Marc-Andre Fleury. So those were the awards. I kind of wanted to get into them. I wanted to give you a little bit more on Adam Fox, just because, he's a Ranger, and I've been talking a lot about that. But obviously I will still get to the Connor McDavid and the Kirill Kaprizov and Marc-Andre Fleury's awards, and I'll kind of recap those, talk a little bit about those, and then we'll finish off the podcast obviously with the normal New York sports update. I call it New York Sports Update. To be honest, it's kind of, your update around sports because I'll do the NBA playoffs, NHL, Stanley Cup tonight, Lightning Canadiens Game 2's on tonight, and then obviously the Game 2 tonight, Yankees play 3rd game of the 4-game set today. Shohei Ohtani's on the mound, so that's super exciting. And then Mets will play Game 2 of a 3-game set against the Braves. And like I said, that's it for New York sports. It's only baseball on last night. Or not just last night, but it's only baseball on right now up until football season gets going and training camp and stuff like that. That's still a little bit down the road there. But anyway, that's what I got for on tap. Although training camps July, so not too far. But anyway, that's what I got for what's on tap for the podcast today. And with all that being said, this is the BSN Arc podcast, and let's get right into it. So Don Granato agrees to a reported 3-year contract as Sabres head coach, and yes, you heard that right. Don Granato is, in fact, the new Buffalo Sabres head coach, and obviously the Buffalo Sabres coming off of a terrible year last year, definitely needed a coaching change, and they actually fired, Ralph Kruger in the middle of the season, and, going into last season, I'm going to say it again, this kind of, I'll kind of give you an outlook here of how it went, and, obviously, Sabres were one of the teams this offseason with the coaching vacancy, with a need in a head coach, obviously, after firing Ralph Kruger, not just firing him in the offseason, but they fired him during last season. So they obviously got rid of Ralph Kruger in the middle of last year. I don't know if it was smack dab in the middle, but they got rid of him. It was more middle towards the end of the year when the Sabres had no shot. They were losing. They were in the middle of that long losing streak, and they ended up firing Ralph Kruger, and, then you end up trading Taylor Hall, and Jack Eichel was already injured before they traded Taylor Hall. He obviously had the herniated disc in his neck, and we still don't know really don't know what's going on, if he's gotten that fixed, or if he still hasn't gotten the surgery, or if he's still bothered by it. Whatever it is, I'm sure we'll find out when the season comes around, or if he gets traded, because that's going to be one of the big questions with Jack Eichel. Is his health and is his neck going to be okay? Is it going to be a lingering thing for the rest of his career? And we'll find that out, obviously, this season, and we'll either find that out this year or when he gets traded, which I do, in fact, think will happen. I do think the Sabres will move on from Jack Eichel and, get a lot of draft picks in return, and, I think they will, build, a lot and find a new cornerstone to the franchise, find a new face of the franchise with Jack Eichel. But, after they fired Ralph Kruger, Don Granato took over. And, it was obviously the interim coach, and he took over and, took over a team that was really struggling. I believe he took over, I think, in the midst of that losing streak, that 18, 19 game losing streak they had or something like that, where they just could not get anything going. They were losing, and they were losing up against some other bad opponents too. They were losing against teams like the Devils, and teams like that, and they were losing to the Rangers too, and they lost to the Rangers. Not that the Rangers were that bad of a team, but they did lose to a Rangers who were a non-playoff team, so if you really want to say that. And then they were just getting smoked by some of the really good teams like the Islanders and stuff like that. They were losing to teams like the Flyers. They blew a lead against the Flyers. They were just not playing good hockey. And then Don Granato took over, and they still lost a couple games after that. Then they snapped a win streak, and things started to get, less bad. And, they started to actually become, I don't even know if you can kind of say respectable level of hockey just because of how bad they were. But he got them to be actually like a team that was actually competing, a team that was doing, things, a team that was actually producing a little bit. The team with Ralph Kruger was doing absolutely nothing. They were not producing. They were not scoring. They actually looked lost on the ice. You could tell the players were not really buying into what Ralph Kruger was trying to promote and what Ralph Kruger was trying to preach. They were not buying in. The players were not buying in. Taylor Hall at the time was not buying in. Eichel, when he was healthy, they were not buying in. There was many reports that the players were actually unhappy about what was going on. Obviously what was going on with the team at the time. There was a lot of reports that the players were unhappy with the game plan and the way they run the offense and stuff like that. And when Don Granato took over, it was, in a way, even though they were still the worst team in the NHL, it was a little bit of a breath of fresh air. And that's why I think it was the smart and safe decision to hire Don Granato if you are the Buffalo Sabres, right? Because yes, you might want to go out there and, yes, you might want to go out there and say, oh, let's go out and get a brand new coach, bring in a brand new face, just start fresh. You could say that. You could also say, let's go out and bring in a guy that all the players already know. He obviously has a different plan than Ralph Kruger. Yes, even though he was, involved with Ralph Kruger's staff, just get, start with him. He's already, the players have already shown some experience of liking him. We've heard Rasmus Dahlin, who has, he got better. Actually, he actually progressed a little bit under Don Granato last season. Said that, he likes him a lot of the other younger guys on his team, because you got to realize this roster is still relatively young, and depending on what you do in the draft, you're gonna have a lot of other draft picks, so you're gonna bring in more young talent. They have obviously got the number 1 overall pick, so whatever they decide to do with that, wherever they decide to go with that, they'll get even more. But, I think it was just a smart decision to do this. And I know a lot of people, like I just mentioned, might want to go out there and say, oh, let's go and bring a new face, and let's start fresh, and let's bring in a guy that has experienced a lot more winning than this guy. Let's bring in a guy that just fresh face. And I understand that, right? Because a lot of times you don't see interim coaches get hired after they do it, after they, coach. You usually don't see that. Often you see them end up just, leaving as well. That happens often in the NBA, NHL, MLB, and NFL. In the NBA, for example, the Nets, it's a little different, but Jacques Vaughn, after they fired Kenny Atkinson, he was the interim coach, and he wasn't a head coach, but he ended up staying on the assistant staff, and he's actually going to stay on the staff there. So it's sometimes a little interesting to see you hire an interim coach. But in this case, I feel like it's a little different. Because this guy, right, in Don Granato, what the Sabres are going to have to try to build, and I said this a couple weeks ago, and I said it about the Celtics, I say it about a lot of teams. It all starts with the head coach, right? The head coach decision could dictate how your franchise is going to be over the next 5 years. I don't care if you have all the talent on the roster, if you have all these draft picks, or if you have all these different players, and, you bring in this assistant, or you have this GM, or you're going to make this trade. I don't care about any of that. If you don't get the head coach right, your franchise is automatically going to get set back 3 to 4 years. And to be honest, the Buffalo Sabres in their rebuild kind of took a big step back, not only last season, but with Ralph Krueger at the helm. And I truly believe that, right? When Ralph Krueger was there, they were not a winning team. They were still losing. They were not getting better. This was a team this year that, remember, after they signed Taylor Hall, you have a lot of the young guys. You have still Jack Eichel, and you pair him up with Taylor Hall. You're looking at this roster, and you're like, wow, this team could actually be competitive. And they weren't. They were far from competitive. They were one of the worst teams in the NHL. And I feel like with Don Granato, when he took over, seeing that they were a little bit more competitive and seeing that where they were playing a little bit more of a respectable hockey, that's got to be an eye-opener to the front office of the Buffalo Sabres. And you hear, obviously, that all of these players already liked him. I believe that this is a hire that really can't go that wrong, because he's not coming in with the expectation of winning 50 games next season and winning the Stanley Cup. They signed him to a 3-year deal. If he does in the 3 years, if he makes his team competitive and, he develops the young guys, boom, he did his job. Right now, if they're still terrible for the next 3 years and they're not winning and the young guys aren't developing and they still look terrible and they're not competitive, then you could say, wow, this guy didn't do his job. But he's coming in with the expectation of just develop some of the young guys, which he actually already kind of has, in his short time last season as the interim head coach, and he's already well respected around the locker room. And you might think that's crazy to say when he only coached, I don't know how many exactly games. I would assume probably about 20, 25 games. He went 9, 16, and 3. So he coached 28, 29 games last season as the interim coach. He's already well respected around locker room. We heard guys like Rasmus Dahlin say that he's been better, and he helps out the rookies a lot, and he's very communicated, and that was one of the things that you actually noticed is Rasmus Dahlin, who was their first round pick a couple years ago, was actually he was one of those guys that has struggled a little bit in his career, has not lived up to expectations, has he's been just off to a slow start, and that happens to some players, especially in the NHL when you make that big jump from college or wherever you're playing in a junior league or your national league team or wherever you're playing. It's a big jump. He actually started to play slightly better towards the end of the season. And you saw that under Don Granato, because Don Granato put him into a system that he felt comfortable with. Don Granato communicated a lot with the players. Don Granato, communication is key with him. And you heard that last season, right? I remember watching, there was a Rangers versus Sabres game where Don Granato, he said that when he got hired as the interim coach after they fired Ralph Krueger, he had a meeting, and he said, this is what I want to improve on, this is what I want us to do, this is the game plan we're going to run. And he did that. And sure enough, the team bought in a little bit. They won 9 games. Sure, they did lose, they went 9-16-3, which is still below 500, but the fact that they won 9 games, the fact that the players seemed to buy in, the fact that the players seemed to like what he was preaching, like what he was putting out there, and we saw some, and as a Sabre fan, you saw some improvements from guys like Rasmus Dahlin, and your goaltending at the tail end of the year became a little bit of an issue with, the injuries and stuff like that. You saw improvement from Rasmus Dahlin. Sam Reinhart actually had a relatively good year. Just as an offense as a whole, you saw some improvements. You saw some more scoring. You saw, I would say, more like comfortable play. And I feel like when they just filled up that roster with young guys and Victor Olofsson and stuff like that, they continue to improve. And I feel like for a team that's entering a rebuild, for a team that is not trying to go for a Stanley Cup next season, yes, that's always the goal for every team. Obviously your goal is to win a championship, but next season that's not the expectations nor the goal. The goal next season is to see development, to see, what Don Granato can do, to see, however many draft picks you get. If you do trade Eichel, I'm sure you're going to get more picks, and whatever they do with the first overall pick, see what that guy can do. I feel like this was such the right hiring for the Buffalo Sabres. It's a low-risk move because he's already been in the organization. It's not like you're bringing in a brand new face. The players have already respected him. Players have already spoke very highly of him. He had a little bit of a success last season. He took a team that was an absolute dumpster fire, and I guess you could kind of say blew out the fire in the dumpster. The team was better. It was much better on here. And even the games that they weren't winning, they weren't getting smoked. They weren't flat. They were still scoring. They were getting pressure on. They were being more physical. And maybe that partially could be because they were trying, now that Ralph Kruger was gone, they were trying to prove that, hey, he was the reason we were terrible. But it just seems like that the guys really like him. He's a well-respected coach already, and that's why I think it's a low-risk move. Because he's already a well-respected coach in the team. The locker room, so many players have already spoke highly of him. He's already seemed like he's got a lot of the young guys' trust. And you bring in a guy who has already worked with these guys. That's why I believe it's a low risk and a very solid move. And it's not like you're signing him to some massive 5, 6, 7-year deal. You're signing him to a 3-year deal. So it's actually a relatively short deal considering, not really short, but considering in a year and a half, if you're not having any productions, you could fire him. It's not like you're set on him for 6 years and in a year and a half he's not doing anything and things like that. Like, let's say this season they do bad and in a half of next year they aren't good. They fire him. Okay, it's not like you completely went all out on this coach. You hired a guy who's already been in the building. He's already, it seems like, and that's one thing that I want to make clear is, like, I know some Sabres fans that, I know there's a lot of Sabres fans out there that like the move. Some Sabres fans that might be a little concerned that maybe he's going to try to, what Ralph Kruger did under his staff and maybe something like that. I don't think he's going to bring anything into that play style of that, but I do think that there is I do think that there is a chance that, Granato's going to, I think that he'll bring in his own plan. I don't think he's going to do anything that Kruger did, especially working under Ralph Kruger on his staff, especially that. He's going to realize how they were not succeeding. He's going to bring in his own plan. And I think Don Granato's plan is to develop young guys, give the young guys playing time. That's another thing, too. He gave the young guys, you look at the minute time on ice, he gave a lot of the young guys on that team, which arguably you could say is the entire roster, because the Sabres have a very young roster. He gave a lot of the young guys, the Dahlins of the world, the Olofssons of the world, guys like that on that roster, a whole lot more ice time towards the end of the year. And he got them playing well. He got those young guys to buy in a little bit. And it only made sense for the Sabres to go back. And I'm sure the Sabres communicated a little bit with the players. There's no way they made this hiring without knowing. But I think, the players have already seemed to buy in a little bit. And I think what really, I don't think he can be any worse than Ralph Kruger. So definitely, I think a good move for the Sabres. Bringing a guy that's already been in here, bringing a guy that seems like is already pretty well respected around the locker room, bringing in a guy that players already trust, and we saw a little bit of a glimpse of what he can do to a team. I mean, they were struggling all of last season. He took over. They started to be a little more competitive. They won 9 games. They looked a lot better. They looked drastically better. They actually looked like a different hockey team. I mean, when Ralph Kruger was there, they were terrible. They were not winning. They were not close. They were not playing physical. They just were not playing any good hockey. When Granato took over, they started to be, physical a little bit more. They started to, hit a little bit harder and started to shoot a little bit more. And it's almost like their confidence level increased more when Granato took over. Like I said, a low-risk addition. And, the reward is, I think, developing the young guys and getting a competitive hockey team. And that's what I think a lot of Buffalo Sabres fans want, is to at least just be competitive. There's been a lot of non-competitive hockey in Buffalo for the past decade. I think there's a lot of fans out there that just want them to be competitive again and be a respected, well-respected team and see the young guys develop. Because, to be honest, under Ralph Kruger, you didn't really see much of the young guys develop. We saw a glimpse of Dahlin get a whole lot better towards the end of the season when Granato took over. Right? And I think that glimpse is big towards a lot of Sabres fans, because this is a guy, when you drafted him, you expected big things out of him. He hasn't delivered yet. But, what you saw last season, I think, is a glimpse of what he could do under Granato and do under Granato's plan. All right, so Don Granato agrees to reported 3-year contract as Sabres head coach. The Buffalo Sabres removed the interim tag from Don Granato on Tuesday, making him the 20th head coach in franchise history. Pierre LeBrun of TSN reported Granato's contract will be for 3 years. He took over as interim coach on March 17th, leading the Sabres to a 9-16-3 record. The veteran coach initially joined the Sabres under Ralph Kruger during the 2019-2020 season. Buffalo fired Kruger after less than 2 seasons. The Sabres will have not reached the playoffs since 2010-2011. Granato will be tasked with improving a roster that recorded just 15 wins in 56 games in a 56-game season, though most of those came under his interim coaching. So obviously, like I mentioned, just 15 wins last season. I said that earlier, and he won 9 of them. So it's crazy to think that Kruger, who started the year, only won 6 games, and Granato, who finished the year started on March 17th, he won 9 games. And that's just a glimpse of players buying in, players being more competitive. I mean, it's the result. The stats aren't fake. I mean, they only won 6 games under Kruger. They won 9 against Granato. Automatically, that has to be an eye-opener. Automatically, that has to be an eye-opener that, wow, we played, you look at, you might think, oh, we were still terrible, we still only finished with 15 wins, but you might say, wow, 9 of those came under Granato. I mean, over half, Granato, who didn't even start the year as the head coach, got more wins than the actual coach did. And that, you could look at that both ways. You could look at that as that's really sad that Kruger only got 6 wins and the interim got more. Or you could look at that, that's wow, we're getting a guy that actually made us relatively competitive, made us play better hockey. Did he make us a playoff team? No. Did he make us the team that was contending? No. I mean, at that point, you couldn't. They were already in a big enough hole. But did he get the young guys to start to buy in a little bit? Yes. Did he get the lean to play a little bit more? Yes. Did he get the young guys more playing time? Yes. They traded Eric Stahl, they traded Taylor Hall, and Eichel was still injured. So, even when those trades went down, it gave the players more. It gave the young players more. And that's another thing that I think you got to like about this move, too. He seems he's very sold on giving young guys time. Very sold on trying to give the young guys playing time. And that's what you need when you're in a rebuild, especially when you're about to enter a rebuild. And as much as David Quinn had success with the New York Rangers, that's why we hired David Quinn. Because when we were entering that rebuild, it was all about giving the young guys playing time and trying to develop the young guys. And David Quinn came over from Boston University. He developed a lot of young guys. He's had experience with young players. So he coming over on a young team, young roster, that's why he tried to do it. That's what he tried to do. So that's the same thing here I feel with Don Granato. Now, I think it's a little different because Don Granato's already got NHL experience. When David Quinn took over, he had no NHL experience. At least Granato has had some experience. He was obviously the assistant with the team, and he's already been around the organization. He's already seen what this roster can and cannot do, and that's also another big thing. So this is what Dahlin said. He made all the young guys play very well. Defenseman Rasmus Dahlin told reporters of Granato, he made us feel confident every day we came to the rink. We were in a good mood. We always knew he had our back, and that's huge key. That's a huge key for having success. Like I said, the young guys have already kind of bought into his plan. And yes, has Granato come out yet? And he's still got to probably have his introductory conference and stuff like that. Has he come out and he said, this is our plan, this is what I want to do? No. But when he took over as head coach on March 17th, he met with the players and he put out a list of things. He said, this is what we want to improve on. I'm going to give these guys more playing time. I'm going to give this guy the opportunity. We're going to do this. We're going to put this offense out there. We're going to try this. We're going to do this and that like that. I don't know everything, but he put out a list, and he had a meeting with the players, and he said, these are the things I want to improve on over the next couple weeks. And the team seemed to improve in a lot of those things. At least you could think, because they did win 9 games. They were more competitive. Even the games that they lost, they were still, even the games that they lost, it wasn't like utter blowouts. It wasn't like they come out flat. They were much more competitive. They were playing much better, right? And that's what I feel like. That's just I think that's just right there has got to be an eye opener. And yes, no, he did not lead them to 25 wins. No, but he got them to 9 wins. He got them up to 15 total. He got more than Ralph Kruger did. And like I said, it was one of those moves where Dahlin's, the Olofssons, Victor Olofsson, and guys like that, and Sam Reinhart continued to play well. Actually played slightly better under him. They continued to play well. All right, so the young locker room's confidence in Granato is likely what won him the job. The 53-year-old understands working his way up through the system after having done it himself as a coach, beginning with the USHL in 1993, and then transitioning to the CHL and the AHL before finally getting his chance at the NHL level. And, like I said, I've been saying this the whole time, and it might sound repetitive, me keep on saying the young guys, but it's the truth. This sentence says it all. The young locker room's confidence in Granato is likely what won him the job. Simple as that. And the team's only going to get more young. Team's only going to get more youth on it. I would put a lot of money on it now that Eichel's going to be gone. Yes, he's still young, but that's kind of a guy that's been in the roster for a long time. So you start over. Start over if you're the Sabres. Just start over. Right? I think, if you get rid of, Eichel, you're going to get a lot in return. You might get some young guys, and you're also going to probably get some picks. I can guarantee you're going to get some draft picks. You're not going to get Eichel back. I mean, unless if it's some big names in the deal, you're going to get a pick, at least one pick in return for Eichel. They actually set the asking price. The asking price, there was a reported asking price of that players would be up to about 4 first-round picks. Meaning would be the equivalent to 4 first-round picks. So you're saying maybe 2 young guys and 2 first-round picks. And that's what I'm saying. This Sabres team is only going to get more youth. Why did they trade Stahl? Why did they trade Taylor Hall? So they can get youth. So they can continue to get young. They gave away guys that could be better on better teams. They gave away guys that just did not have a place on the roster. They're trying to fill up with youth, and the youth of this team has already shown, has already shown much better play under Granato, and I think that's big. So, he's a new coach, and, he's got a lot of work on his hands. He definitely does. He's definitely got a lot of work on his hands. He's got a lot to do. This team is still, in a rebuilding stage, and they've kind of just entered the rebuild, but he's going to have a lot of work on his hands. But I think I think a lot of the players around the locker room have already gained his trust, so that's one of the big things. When you hire a new coach, is getting the locker room to buy in is a big thing. And I think last season, in his short time as an interim coach, he got that locker room to buy in. And, I don't think they're going to make any drastic moves this offseason other than getting rid of Eichel. I don't think they're really going to get rid of, the other guys. I don't think they're going to get rid of any of the other guys. I think really their main guy that they're going to probably get rid of is Eichel. And then whatever they do through the draft, obviously with the number 1 overall pick, that's still a big question now that Owen Power might be going back to school. So like I mentioned, I'm going to say it again. He's already earned a lot of. He seems like he's well respected already around the locker room. He's checked off of a very big box as a head coach. It seems like all the players have already bought in. They bought into his plan last year, and they seem like they will continue to buy in. And he did well last year with youth, and this team's only going to get more young, so he's just going to get more youth to deal with, and it seems like he does a very good job with that. So I think it's a very safe, it's a very low risk, and I think it's a very solid addition for the Buffalo Sabres. And I think if you're a Sabres fan today, or not if you are, I don't think there's any Sabres fans that became Sabres fans yesterday just because Don Granato got hired. you're Sabres fans today. Sabres fans today should feel pretty happy about this hiring. And, I don't think you should feel to the fact that, this guy's going to do, this. I don't think you should be like, Stanley Cup or nothing this season. No, that's wild. But you should definitely feel confident that, I think this new kind of rebuild, it stinks to say it. I know how it is. Last season, start of this year, you thought that you were coming out of the rebuild, and now you're going back into one. But I guess you can kind of say this next rebuild, like 2.0, this new rebuild, I think is already getting off to the right foot, and that is with the right hiring of the head coach, and, that's Don Granato, and I believe he's going to do a good job developing the young guys and getting the job done with the Buffalo Sabres. So that's my opinion on it, and comment down below your thoughts, as I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. But with all that being said, that will do it for the Sabres and their hiring of new head coach Don Granato. Hiring, promotion, whatever you want to call it, because he was already the interim, so it's not like it's a brand new face. It's kind of more of a promotion, but either way, he's the new head coach. But coming up next here, I want to get into the NHL awards. Yesterday, the NHL 2021 NHL awards got released, and all the winners are out. The big awards, the Veneza Trophy, the Hart Trophy, the Norris Trophy, have all gone released. I wanted to get into them. The Calder Trophy, all of them have gone released. And there's a lot of winners. Not many surprising winners, I would say. There's not many surprises, but one big name for Ranger fans and for New York sports fans is Adam Fox won the Norris Trophy. And I will get into that. I will talk about all the other ones, but I really want to nail in that Adam Fox has won the trophy. But like I said, I will get into all the awards coming up next. Alrighty, so we welcome you back here, and NHL Awards 2020 results. I will release I'll tell you the winners, and all the winners of the awards. So obviously yesterday was obviously the big award ceremony. So the NFL has their the NFL honors. The MLB usually just does their normal. I think they kind of just do their normal thing. Well, no, they'll have theirs on MLB Network, like the Rookie of the Year AL. NHL did their big thing last night, and then NBA will have their also. They'll have their big awards night. Well, they'll release NBA Rookie of the Year and all that stuff. Although now with it being kind of the MVP and stuff this year, it was kind of a little different. They kind of did it in spurts, but last night they kind of did like the big show. The big thing was kind of the big show, and all the winners and the MVP and the defenseman of the year and the Norris Trophy and the Rookie of the Year and the Goalie of the Year and all that stuff. So they did that last night, and I personally always like to watch that. I love to watch the NFL honors. That's always super exciting to watch. When you see all the awards and you find out who the MVP is, who the Rookie of the Year is, and all that, all the stuff, all the predicting, all that stuff that goes into it. Last night and throughout the year with the NFL honors and stuff like that. That always is exciting. That's why I always like the ESPYs, which I believe the ESPYs is coming up this year. That's one of my favorite things because they do all sports. They'll do the best play of the year. They'll cover the whole year in sports. They'll do the best play of the year. They'll do the best team of the year, the best player, the best whatever, all that stuff they'll do. And so last night it was the NHL awards, and we found out who took home some of the biggest awards, and I'll read you right now. So let me just read this quick on a little article here. Like I said, I wanted to get into Adam Fox and stuff like that, but a lot of other awards obviously to get to as well. So last night, hockey fans still have to wait a bit to celebrate a new Stanley Cup champion. In the meantime, they can at least salute the individual stars from the 2020-21 after the NHL handed out its top awards. Connor McDavid was the big winner after scoring 33 goals and leading the NHL in assists 72 and points 105. McDavid joined Wayne Gretzky as the second multi-time Hart Memorial Trophy recipient in Edmonton Oilers history. Obviously, he's the Hart Trophy. I believe him and Gretzky are the only ones to get unanimous 100 out of 100 votes to win the Hart Trophy. Here are the results from Tuesday. So the NHL Awards show results. Hart Memorial Trophy went to Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers, which is the MVP. The Vezina Trophy went to Marc-Andre Fleury, the Vegas Golden Knights. That is pretty much the best goaltender. The Calder Memorial Trophy went to Kirill Kaprizov, Minnesota Wild. That's the Rookie of the Year. The James Norris Memorial Trophy went to Adam Fox of the New York Rangers, and that's the Norris Memorial Trophy, is the Defenseman of the Year. And the Ted Lindsay Award went to Connor McDavid, Edmonton Oilers, which is pretty much just the most outstanding player in the NHL. And I found this was interesting as well. Just add another stat. Connor McDavid is just the second unanimous Hart Trophy winner in NHL history, joining Wayne Gretzky. He got 100 out of 100 first-place votes. So that's pretty crazy, and obviously Marc-Andre Fleury is the winner of Vezina, the trophy. I have Marc-Andre Fleury this season. This is his career, 3-time Stanley Cup champion, 5 Cup final appearances with 2 different teams, 3rd most wins in NHL history, 4th most playoff wins in NHL history, 3rd most shutouts in NHL history, Jennings Trophy and Vezina Trophy. So that's wild there as well. Calder Trophy was Kirill Kaprizov, and obviously the big one for me, at least as a New York Rangers fan, is Adam Fox is the recipient of the James Norris Trophy, awarded to the defenseman player who demonstrates throughout the season the greatest all-around ability in the position. And Adam Fox is the second defenseman in league history to take home the Norris Trophy in his second NHL season or earlier, after Bobby Orr accomplished the feat in 1967-1968, second NHL season with Boston, and is the 4th in franchise history to win. Adam Fox and the Rangers' first name trophy finalists since 1996-1997 when Brian Leetch won the award for the second time. Also 1991, 1992 when New York Rangers, and is the 4th in franchise history to win. Also Harry Howell in 1966-1967 and Doug Harvey in 1961-1962. Obviously Brian Leetch in 1967, 1996 and 1997, and Adam Fox obviously this season. And obviously all the other trophies, those players did great. No surprise with the MVP, the Hart Trophy. No surprise there with Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid, it's simple as this. He's the best player in the NHL. Okay, I was talking to someone last night about this, and I was thinking about it last night as well. Right? Connor McDavid, in a way, is the Mike Trout of the NHL. Right? He's just like the best player. Every year he's putting up numbers that we just can't believe. Like Connor McDavid arguably will go down as one of the best hockey players of all time. Mike Trout might actually go down as the best baseball player of all time. It's tough to say with McDavid because he just doesn't have the cups as Gretzky does, and he doesn't have all the playoff success as Gretzky does. Not that Mike Trout has all the playoff success, but Gretzky's arguably the best athlete of all time. One of the best, just all-around players of all time in any sport. Out of any sport, he's arguably just the best athlete of all time. If you take the best from each sport, Gretzky, you could say, put in the high category. But I was telling her last night, saying this last night, or thinking about it last night, Gretzky's the Mike Trout of hockey. And no matter, even if he doesn't win the MVP, his numbers are still insane. And a down year for him is still a very, very good year. I mean, the stats show. And he had a 105 points in a 56-game season. That's unreal. Some guys can't even accomplish that in 82 games. He did it in 56 games. He was averaging about over a point per game. So 105 points in a 56-game season, 72 assists, 33 goals, just wild. And, there's no one else more deserving than him. Now, you could say, Nathan McKinnon or Austin Matthews. And Austin Matthews had a very big year, and I understand that. He had I think he had a 40-something goal season. He had a very big year, but you take all the collective stats, you take in terms of just what he does to his team. Connor McDavid makes the players around him just so much better. So no surprise there with the Hart Memorial Trophy. Marc-Andre Fleury won the Vezina Trophy. There's no surprise there as well. And I know a lot of people out there might say, oh, Robin Lehner or, someone else or, and I know there's a lot of people out there that might want to say, many other different guys. But Marc-Andre Fleury, without a doubt, should have won it. And I think, you look at, you could even say Andre Vasilevsky, Semyon Varlamov had a very good season. He did not have very good playoffs, but you could even say Vasilevsky. But to be honest, and to be completely honest with you, there was no doubt that it was more, Marc-Andre Fleury should have won it. And, this season, he had a remarkable year. He had a very good season. Definitely should have won it. Now, would I disagree if Vasilevsky won it? No, but, Marc-Andre Fleury, if you're going off of also highlight reel plays and stuff like that, definitely Marc-Andre Fleury. Calder Memorial Trophy, no surprise there with Kirill Kaprizov. I mean, he's young. He's got a star. He's got a bright future ahead of him. And this is a guy that, is just beginning for him. And he's a guy that, will continue to, play well. And, a Wild team that was not supposed to do that great this season came into the playoffs as I believe they were a 3 seed. Yes, they were a 3 seed. And they took that Vegas series. Did they take that Vegas series to 7 games? I think so. I think they took that series to 7 games, and Kirill Kaprizov was a big part of that. And for a young guy to take a lead, almost like a leadership role in a team, is just phenomenal. And it's not just what he did on the ice; it's what he did in the locker room. In a way, he played a little bit like a veteran. He was a leader. He was a communicator. He communicated a lot. A lot of times, guys in their first NHL season, they can be a little hesitant to communicate. They can be a little hesitant to take that leadership role. They can be a little hesitant to stand up in front of the locker room and say stuff and be a leader. But he was almost like a leader already in that locker room in only his first year, and he took that leadership role and he lived up to expectations. I mean, this is a guy that I think exceeded expectations, and you knew from the start. I would say at the beginning of the season, we were like 10, 15 games in, he was taking this team, and he was taking the league by storm. I was like, yeah, this guy's gonna win it. This guy's gonna win the Calder Trophy. Like, there's no doubt about it. He's gonna win it, and well deserved by Kirill Kaprizov. Then the Ted Lindsay Award for Most Outstanding Player. Obviously, McDavid, he wins MVP. He's going to win the Ted Lindsay Award as well. You could always make the argument that someone else should have won it, but I think it's clear that McDavid's the MVP. I think that's clear. That's the biggest trophy of them all. And then you get to the Norris Trophy, and that's Adam Fox of the New York Rangers. And I couldn't be more happier as a New York Ranger fan to, see that he wins it. And it's not just the fact that he won it and that's great. It's the fact that, he did it in his second year. And it just makes, the future for the Rangers is already bright, right? With our head coaching hire and Gerard Gallant. And the future for the New York Rangers is already looking like it's looking up. And it already looks like it's going to be a bright future. We already have a lot of young talent. But it makes you even more excited when Adam Fox, a guy like Adam Fox wins it, right? Because this is a guy who, this is a guy who in his first year with the Rangers had a good season. But to do what he did in the offseason, he took advantage of, the offseason after the bubble, took advantage of the offseason, took advantage of working and putting in all the work, getting better. He came out this season just on another level. And they only had 56 games this season. If they would have had the full 82, what could he have done? What could have this Rangers team done? That's a different story, different day. But with only 56 games, Adam Fox showed a whole lot of potential, and he just showed how good he can be. 47-point season by Adam Fox, and the time on ice that he plays is just another level. And I say this as well, right? You can look at all the stats. You can look at the assists. You can look at the passing he makes. You can look at the decision-making. I think the two big things with him is the way he plays the game. He's very smart. When he gets the puck, he already knows what he's going to do. He plays hockey like it's chess. He's thinking so many moves ahead. And we all see it. Coaches said it. Teams say it. Other opposing players say it. He's very hard to go up against because he's always got something in his head that he's going to do. He gets the puck, he passes right back. Whatever, that's one thing that, very rarely he makes a mistake because whenever, when he gets the puck, he knows what he's going to do with it, right? It's not like he gets the puck and he's like, oh, what am I going to do? Right? When he gets the puck, he already knows what he's going to do. Then he'll kind of think about what he's very smart when it comes to the game. He watches a lot of film. He'll look at what he does, right? He's very smart when it comes to game hockey. And I think another thing that blows me all away, and I know there's a lot of other defensemen out there, but especially for a guy that's this young and for a guy that you might want to just take it easy on him and for a guy that you might still want to see develop, the fact that he's playing this much time on ice is just wild. I mean, this is a guy who will play upwards to 25, 28 minutes a game on ice, and that's just wild to me, given that there's some other guys that only play about 15 minutes. I mean, there's times where guys will only get 11 11 minutes on ice, and this guy's playing 28 minutes. And that's the equivalent to the whole period. And that's something else that I think is super, super special about him, is that he could play a lot on ice. He could play for long distances. And, I'm not just saying this because I'm a Ranger fan. I mean, maybe it is a little bit, but I honestly think he was the best defenseman in the NHL this season. I've said it for the entire year. I said it throughout the season. I said it after the season. I said that Adam Fox should have been a Norris Trophy winner. And, what he did this season, it's not just what he did this season, it's how he worked throughout the offseason and his year 2 leap, right? We always talk about that in sports, right? Whether it's the NFL, whether it's the NHL, whether it's the MLB or the NBA. You always talk about that year 2 leap. NBA, it's big. NHL, it's big. In the NHL, it's really big. NHL and NFL is really big. Because NFL, especially as a quarterback, if you have an A year 1, the next season you get a full off season to work with your teammates, to learn the playbook more. You have a full off season, right? Then you come into year 2. That's where a lot of guys really make their leaps. Same thing in the NHL, right? For your first year might be a little bit of a feeling out process. Your first 25 games in the NHL might be a little bit of a feeling out process because it's a big change. And once you're able to get the feeling, once you're able to get what it's like to play NHL hockey, then you really start to get into the groove. Then you go into the offseason. That's what Adam Fox took advantage of. Last season, he got what it was like to do, he got what it was like, to go out and, he felt, he got that feeling of what it was like to be an NHL defenseman. And he realized, and he stepped up this season. He says, I'm going to make that year 2 leap. And not saying last season he had a bad year. He had a good year last year. But he had even better this year. He made that leap. He looked at what he did. He looked at different scenarios. He started to learn a lot more of what the Rangers want to do. He started to really, play the game with a different mindset and a different way. And he came out this season firing on all cylinders from the first game of the year. And sure enough, he's the Norris Trophy winner. And Keandre Miller also made, I believe it was the rookie team who, let's see here. It was the, let's see. Yes, so here it is. So, Keandre Miller made the all-rookie team. So, also very good to see that. The all-rookie team. Keandre Miller also had a great year. And this was a guy, too, who, coming out of training camp, there was some possibilities him not even being on the roster. He was making, a spark in training camp. He was doing really well at training camp, and the Rangers were like, let's give him a chance. They knew that he was going to be a good player, but they didn't think this quickly. And sure enough, he made the all-rookie team. It was Alec Nedeljkovic from the Hurricanes, Keandre Miller from the Rangers, Ty Smith from the Devils, Kirill Kaprizov from the Wild, Josh Norris from the Senators, and Jason Robertson from the Stars. So that's your all-rookie team. And, his future's bright. You got Adam Fox winning Norris, Keandre Miller making the all-rookie team, plus the guys you already have in place, plus whatever you do this season. The future's looking real bright for the New York Rangers and, just overall. And you hire a coach in Gerard Gallant who knows what it takes to win. He knows how to win. And to, force that to the young guys is big. So let's get into the quick article here I wanted to read. So Rangers Adam Fox wins 2020-2021 Norris Trophy over Cal Maker and Victor Hedman. New York Rangers blue liner Adam Fox has won the 2020-2021 James Norris Memorial Trophy as the NHL's top defenseman. The 23-year-old beat out some stiff competition for the honor, getting chosen over Cal Maker of the Colorado Avalanche and Tampa Bay Lightning's Victor Hedman, who won the Norris in 2018. In just his second NHL season, Fox quickly established himself as a premier player at both ends of the ice. In 55 regular season games, he registered 5 goals and 42 assists for 47 points. He also posted a plus 19 rating and averaged 24 minutes and 42 seconds of ice time per game. Among defensemen, Fox ranked first in assists, second in points, only points behind only Edmonton Oilers defenseman Tyson Barrie's 48 and 11th in average time on ice. Fox was also a star on the power play, finishing with 23 power play points, which was tied with Barrie for second among defensemen, just one behind Hedman's 24. Fox was a third-round draft pick of the Calgary Flames in 2016, but his rights were traded to the Carolina Hurricanes in 2018. Carolina then flipped his rights to the Rangers in 2019 for a second-round pick. The former Harvard standout quickly established himself as the Rangers' top defenseman, racking up 42 points and a plus 22 rating during his rookie campaign in 2019-2020. Like I mentioned, he had a very good rookie year, but even better this season. Fox finished fourth in the Calder Trophy voting as Rookie of the Year behind a pair of defensemen in Makar and Quinn Hughes of the Vancouver Canucks, as well as Chicago Blackhawks forward Dominic Kubliak. Just 1 year later, the Jericho, New York native overtook both Makar and Hughes, and he was recognized as the top defenseman in the NHL. Fox is the youngest Norris winner since then. Montreal Canadiens defenseman P.K. Subban won it at the age of 23 in 2013, and he's the first Rangers player to receive the honor since Brian Leetch in 1997. Obviously, an all-time great for the New York Rangers, and, just an exciting day for the Rangers. And obviously, you look at, what this team can do, and you look at all the young talent, and you see Fox improving, you see him win the Norris, the things are only looking up from here for the New York Rangers. And, great to see him win the Norris. And I got to admit, I was very happy that he won it because, I was very happy to see, that he won it because you always look at, snubs, and you always look at, oh, this guy had such a great year. What if he doesn't win it? That's one of the things that was getting me nervous, because I wanted to see him win it, obviously. It's great to do at 23 years old. And he's already in big-time company. P.K. Subban's had a successful career. He's in company with Bobby Orr. Those are some big names to be in company with in only your second season in the NHL. So congrats to Adam Fox. Congrats to Keandre Miller, who also had a very good season. And, those two together as a tandem hopefully have a very successful run at it for many, many, many years. And, the New York Rangers' future continues to look bright as they're hiring of their new head coach in Gerard Gallant, and just winning awards and doing all that just makes it a whole lot brighter. So that's what I got for the NHL awards and a big NHL day here on the podcast. But let's get into the New York sports update and rest of the sports. As for yesterday, the Hawks won 110-88. Obviously, Trae Young did not play, but they got the job done nonetheless. And Giannis got hyperextended his knee. So, there's one thing that stinks is, you wait for the playoffs and you wait for all the big stars. We look at the series and you think of Trae Young and Giannis, and both of them are now hurt. That's one thing that people have been complaining about. I've seen it all around now. Is like, everyone's like, Giannis and Trae are hurt, and it's just crazy because when you get to the playoffs, you think of all the superstars and all that stuff, and now the two main superstars of that series are hurt. You're like what now? But the Hawks got the job done nonetheless, and the fact that they got the job done without Trae Young's big. Clippers, Suns tonight. I think the Clips will win, but I think the Suns win the series in 7. Even though I have the Clippers making the finals, I think the Clippers will win tonight. I guess I'll just stick with the Clippers. I don't know. Suns are a good team. I think Clippers do win tonight, though. They're good on the home. They're good at home. I do think they win tonight, but other than that, it's going to be tough for them to win. Alrighty. So as for today, as for the games today in the NHL, we got the Lightning and the Canadiens. Lightning up 1-0 in the series. I think the Lightning get the job done. Alrighty, as for the MLB, yesterday the Dodgers won, Orioles won, Padres won, Brewers won, White Sox won, Cardinals won, Rockies won, Red Sox won, Phillies won, Blue Jays won, Nationals won, and Rangers won. Rockies won 8-0, but something about that game, Marquez was 3 outs away from a no-hitter. He had 9 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs allowed, no earned runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. He had 92 pitches, 65 of them were strikes, and his ERA now is 3.62. So he was close to another no-hitter, did not get it, but still a very good start by him. Alrighty, the Mets won yesterday 4-3, so they moved to 41-34 on the season, and they got the job done. As for yesterday, the Yankees won 11-5, so the Yankees moved to 41-38 on the season, and they play today. It's kind of funny because the Yankees have the same amount of wins as the Mets, but the Mets have played 4 less games than the Yankees. So, all those Mets fans out there that are saying how bad the Yankees are, which we aren't, we have the same amount of wins. It's not like the Mets are 50 games above 500 and have got 50 wins. They actually have the same amount of wins as the New York Yankees. It's just crazy because of how they had this COVID situation earlier and all the rainouts. Their schedule got all mixed up. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's get into today's games. We got the Cardinals Diamondbacks. I'll give Cardinals the win. Brewers Cubs, give Brewers the win. Rockies Pirates, I'll give Rockies the win. Nationals Rays, give Nationals the win. They've been rolling. Indians Tigers, give Indians the win. Phillies, Marlins, give Phillies the win. Blue Jays, Mariners, give Blue Jays the win. Padres, Reds, give Padres the win. Red Sox, Royals, give Red Sox the win. Indians, Tigers, give Indians the win. Cheaters, Orioles, give Cheaters the win. White Sox, Twins, give White Sox the win. A's, Rangers, give A's the win. Mets also play today against the Braves. Mets come in this game 41-34. Braves come in this game 37-41. This game comes on today, 7:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on MLB Network. You could also find this game on SNY. Let's see here. David Peterson's on the mound for the Mets. He's 2-5 with a 4.95 ERA. And Max Fried's on the mound for the Braves. He's 4-4 with a 4.21 ERA. The over-under for this game is 9. And 72% of people say the Braves will win. I think the Braves get the win here. And the Yankees also play today. Yankees come in this game 41-38. Angels come in this game 38-41. This game comes on today, 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time on Yes. The Angels got Shohei Ohtani on the mound. He's 3-1 with a 2.58 ERA. And the Yankees got Domingo Germán on the mound. He's 4-5 with a 4.32 ERA. The over-under for this game is 10. Let's see here. 61% of people think the Angels will win. I do think the Angels get the win here. Ohtani's on the mound. He's been very good this season. He's just not human, like I mentioned. He's just something else. Alrighty, I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Yankees get another win. But we'll see how it all plays out. As for fantasy baseball, I'm currently winning 103-78. And today I've got going Yadier Molina, Luke Voigt, Whit Merrifield, Gene Segura, Marcus Semien, Carlos Correa, Matt Olson, Christian Yelich, Austin Meadows, Dylan Carlson, Avisail Garcia, Josh Rojas, and Jay Cronenworth. And I got Joe Musgrove, Chris Bassett, and Luis Garcia all on the mound. So no real injury updates other than Alex Bregman. Bregman said Tuesday that his ultrasound on his strained left quad went great and that he is way ahead of schedule in his return timeline. Brian McTaggart of MLB.com reports. So that's good news there. I made a roster move yesterday. I activated Gene Segura off the IL. This is the report on him. The Phillies will activate Segura groin from the 10-day injured list before Tuesday's game against the Marlins. Matt Breen of the Philadelphia Inquirer reports. So that was obviously yesterday's report. And so I activated him off the IL, and I released Josh Donaldson. So I dropped Josh Donaldson, and I activated Gene Segura. And Donaldson's been playing well, but Segura, with the second base, third base, and J.P. Crawford's been very good. And I've been debating about, possibly maybe dropping Austin Riley here and, possibly getting, Donaldson back because Riley's been, not struggling, but, he's not been doing very well in fantasy terms. His last couple games here, 0.7 points, 0 points, -1 and 2. But J.P. Crawford, I did not want to drop him. He's been good. And not that I'm going to look to trade him, but he's definitely a piece that, that some might show interest in, and I need pitching. And I still need pitching. I'm still searching around for pitching. I have some trades in mind. I'm very hesitant with trades. I've been looking. I've been, kind of, I guess you can kind of say just looking around at the moment for trades. Because I do need pitching, and especially as I get, into the July month, stuff like that. Now, if Tyler Glass now he's optimistic. Now, I don't need anyone special. I just need a starting pitcher, but there's not many out there on waivers. I don't even know if I want a starter. I don't really know what, but, I have been looking at some trade ideas to do. I've been looking at other people's teams. I do have one team that I'm really dialed in with. They will probably, J.P. Crawford might be in the deal. He's been good. He's been so good for me. I just have nowhere to put him because I've already got Carlos Correa. Neither do I have anywhere to put Donaldson. So, and I need to drop Donaldson because I had no other roster spot. I'm not just going to keep Segura on the IL. We'll see how everything goes. But definitely, fantasy baseball, it's a little harder to manage with ILs because then if everyone's playing well, like, who do you drop? And I don't have that one guy that I really that one guy that could just drop and be like, I can guarantee you someone's going to go pick up Donaldson. I can guarantee that. He's had a pretty good season, but I've had to drop him, But anyway, that's what I got for the podcast. So, I'll keep you updated, obviously, if I do make any trades. I'm certainly looking at trying to make a trade, just not making one right now. I still want to see what all happens with Glass now. If I hear a report in the next week that he's all of a sudden throwing again, I probably will hold off and just wait, but we got to see how all that goes. So, but anyway, that will do it for the podcast here today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Another good podcast in the books. And as always, I will see you all back here tomorrow. And I hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for watching.